Carpe diem, seize the fish. You know what they say, seize the fish. The best part of that gag is later when Ryan tries to explain to Jonny why it's not funny. And honestly, that might be the point when I started not liking Ryan as much. This video is going to be a character video from the Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England, the second secret project novel by Brandon Sanderson from the year of Sanderson, and because it's a character video, spoilers, so you'll want to have read the book. You've been warned, let's begin. This is one of those stories where the main character wakes up and doesn't know who they are. There's no memories, there's no sense of self, they're just in a situation and left to react to what's around them. And as this main character is reacting, he's noticing that he has some interesting abilities, stuff that he knows to do on instinct. And he starts to wonder, who am I? What am I? And as the plot starts to happen to him and he's reacting to these things, he never imagines what the reality might be. His mind immediately goes to whatever the best option is. He's so sure he's some kind of hero. If your sense of self is based on what you remember about yourself, and you don't remember anything about yourself, what are you automatically going to think? Will you automatically think the best about yourself? I must have been this awesome thing. Or will you automatically think the worst? I really like that Jonny, Runian, immediately thought that he must be something brave, something heroic. He's feeling afraid, but he's so convinced that he's only afraid because of the missing memories. He thinks that his bravery, that obviously he has, must be hidden somewhere in those blank spaces of his memory. And believing that he really is brave, even though he can't remember it, is giving him courage. Don't we become what we believe ourselves to be? He's believing himself to be brave, so he is. I mean, is bravery an action, or is it how you feel about yourself? But there's also shame that's coming through his memories, what feels like probably some PTSD, because those feelings just kind of slam into him when he's not expecting it, kind of taking him by surprise while he's unprepared. And he does kind of pretend to be something he's not. He doesn't know what he is, but he pretends to be this magical being, and he's taking to this play acting really well. Maybe he has some kind of hidden artistic spirit somewhere in there. If you have read this, it's possible you've read other Sanderson works, including Warbreaker, maybe? I don't think this will be a spoiler if I say this, but the character Lightsong is in a similar position where he also didn't remember his past. He didn't remember the person he was before. And both of these characters, from the Wizard's Handbook and from Warbreaker, fill in who they think they must be with what they seem to be good at. And if you're filling in your self-identity with what you're good at, why in the world would you ever imagine you had failed at something in your past? Why even imagine you were average? It's kind of like a young person imagining their future, but in reverse. And the young person imagining their future doesn't dream of failing or of being average, they dream about the best possible future. And these characters who can't remember the past are imagining the best possible past they could have had. Man, isn't that a good example for us? Just forget what you failed at. Forget what you're average at. Keep dreaming, keep striving. Things can go up, they don't have to stay the same or go down. So something that is different in this dimension for John is that he stands out here as someone who can heal rather than someone who can beat people up. One of the things he used to do in his previous life. Or for the people in this dimension, this previous fictional England, there is so much death that they have to deal with every day that they really place a high value on life and on healing. In Jonny's world, in the future, where you have nanites that can heal almost anything, I would think it's a little harder to put a high value on life. Life is easy. You don't get sick, you don't get tired, you hardly get hungry. In medieval England, life was hard. It was a fight every single day against germs, against poverty, against actual enemies who would come in and try to kill them. But it's giving John a whole new perspective on life. And I would like to think that as he's spending more time around these people who have to fight for their life every day, he can start to value his own life a little more. And okay, I might have an unpopular opinion on The nanites? They seem like a great idea, right? The not getting sick or diseases or the ability to heal from wounds, yes, good, awesome. But I do not think that less need for sleep and food is actually a good, healthy thing for humans. A human needs that natural rhythm of awake and asleep. A new day that begins, that day is over, it's done with. Sleep kind of washes it away, puts it in the past. A new day is something to look forward to. I kind of think maybe in Sanderson's dream world, he wishes he didn't need as much sleep or as much food because the man is a writing machine. And if he didn't have to stop for physical needs, he could just keep going for days. I imagine it seems awesome for him, but really, it would not be good for a human's mental or emotional health to just skip the sleeping and the eating parts of life. Those are like little bits of starting over every single day. Anne Shirley from Anne of Green Gables would always say, tomorrow is a new day with no mistakes in it. Unless you just don't go to sleep, then tomorrow is a continuation of this day and everything that happened in this day. I kind of liked Yazad, if that's how you say it, the missionary. I thought he was a pretty good missionary. He's working on Jonny. He's trying to get Jonny to believe that you, Jonny, right now, the person you are now, is a person who matters. I think that exemplifies some of what Sanderson tries to get across in a lot of his works. No matter how broken you are, you still matter. Jonny has a hard time believing and accepting this, kind of like a lot of us. And then we meet Ryan. John always liked Ryan. He thinks everybody likes Ryan. And at first, when Ryan was being described, I also liked Ryan. But as we get to know Ryan from John's perspective, the narrative isn't convincing us to dislike Ryan. It's just revealing more of the truth about how Ryan is as a person. And then we get to go, oh yeah, he's not that great. Johnny's just got himself all deceived about how wonderful Ryan is. And compared to Ryan, how could I ever compete? I'm obviously lesser than Ryan in every aspect of my life. But you know what they say? Comparison is the thief of joy. And I feel like a lot of us can relate to Jonny, Rooney, and John. Even after he's getting his memories back and he knows kind of who he was, it doesn't answer all of his questions because he's still left with the whole who am I deep down question. He remembers what his job was, he remembers things from his past, and he remembers that he always had that question and didn't know what to do with it. Ryan doesn't get it. Ryan is one of those, I'll say annoying people who know who they are. They feel confident in themselves. They know what they like. They know what they want to do with their time and they go get it. Honestly, in a lot of ways, that is my husband. And I have found myself in my life sometimes feeling jealous, but that's okay. Life is a journey and I am working my way through it. And John spent so long trying to copy Ryan instead of spending that same time and effort trying to find himself. One of the things that Jonny likes to do is his whole rating system. 3 stars, 4.5 stars. He enjoys that. He likes being able to look at something and assess it and then give it a star rating. That's something he enjoys. That's one of those little things that is like helping him on his journey to find himself. And here's something I noticed. There were only 3 things. You can correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm remembering this incorrectly. From what I remember, there were only 3 things he gave 5 stars to. One was the rating system itself. Let's ignore that one. He gave 5 stars to Eelston and later 5 stars to himself. I think that shows great growth for him, but giving 5 stars to people, putting value on people over things, I think that's kind of deep. He never gives 5 stars to Ryan. Ryan's such a nice guy, right? At least that's what Jonny always thought. But Cephawin and Eelston look at him and they're not super impressed. They can tell that Ryan is not impressed with John as a person. And so despite how John feels that Ryan is like this better person, Cephawin and Eelston have spent time getting to know Jonny, Runian, as they call him, honored Elv. He's their friend. They prefer him. And all this time, he was comparing himself to Ryan. Or, even worse, I think it's worse, comparing himself to the version of himself that he thought he should be. That can be a little unrealistic. But he never felt good enough. Never really felt good about himself. He literally had to go to another dimension to find himself, to find his value, and to find true friends who believe in him. I hope if you're watching this, you don't feel like you have to go to a whole other dimension to find those things. I hope you can have a journey of self-discovery like Jonny, here, where we live. I do like that the romance between John and Cephawin was kind of that friendship style romance. They slowly kind of got to know each other and liked each other. There was not a lot of emphasis put on it, but I thought it was very cute. If you enjoyed this video, I do have one on Tress of the Emerald Sea. I will also be making them for the future Secret Project novels coming out later this year. Subscribe here for other bookish content, character studies, book reviews, what have you, and I will see you next time. Bye! Can I have a dimension full of talking bananas? No.